If there's ever been a point in time where we have hoped that there will be change in child support and child custody laws in our country, now is the time. And it is thanks to DOGE.
Real quick, DOGE targets child support database full of income data. This here is the real deal. Let's keep listening.
According to this article released today, DOGE is going after the child support data and the income data associated with it and looking into Title D4. Donald Trump and Elon Musk are on the child support racket that's going on in this country, and they're investigating it.
This is crazy, man.
We're going to probably see some changes coming in the very near future. This is exciting, exciting news. I mean, honestly, it might be the best news that I have heard in a long time. And Mark Ledwig, that has been a long-time lobbyist and advocate in the father's rights space, is running a Facebook Live where he's going to talk about his meeting with DOGE, what went on, what was discussed, and what maybe the path is forward.
Wow.
But DOGE is looking into the child support income data as we speak.
All right, so first thing I want to get out of the way right now is I've done this a few times where I'm actually debunking stories that look like the Trump administration is actually going to tackle something that relates to what we talk about here in this channel. So, of course, that would be anything involving divorce laws and family court. And that's all been fake news up until now. I just didn't see this article right here that says MSN. I also saw various other articles here by Futurism. Got the Independent here talking about it. Musk's DOGE team gets access to sensitive child support database despite objections from officials. You may be asking, why would they stop what's supposed to be the cost-cutting team of the current administration, right, who's supposed to save the country money? Why would they stop them from gaining access? Well, of course, they're going to say things like, oh, we want to make sure that we protect the privacy of these people. But let's be honest here. We know there has to be some type of fraud or corruption to some extent. If it's happening everywhere else, it has to be happening when it comes to this particular system as well. You've got the Washington Post here that was posting about it. You've got Daily Mail, right? You've got the Daily Beast. Basically, what I'm trying to say is people are talking about this Newsweek, and they have gained access after multiple failed attempts. They are viewing that data. Top comment here says child support should be eliminated. What do you think about that? People have a lot to say, a lot of strong opinions when it comes to child support. You may be asking, what the hell is Title 4D under the Social Security Act? We're going to talk about that. How does it affect you if you're paying child support, or if you might be in the situation where you're vulnerable to that? You got to think of how perfect this is, right? Here you have Elon Musk. Now, regardless of where you may stand on the political spectrum, whatever is done when it comes to changes with child support will affect you either which way. But you got to think of how almost eerily perfect someone like Elon Musk is. And what I mean by that, guys, is Elon Musk is not new to the challenges and stresses. Well, I don't know if it's an actual stress to him, probably a pest. But the stresses of dealing with a woman who wants to put you in child support. Here you have in February when this story came out, it says Elon Musk ordered to appear in New York City court, right? He probably didn't want to do that over custody issues with Ashley St. Clair. I've said this multiple times. Elon has a bunch of kids, and many of them, he's not able to be as present of a father as I believe those children do deserve. I'm a fan of Elon when it comes to his entrepreneurship, so on and so forth. But when it comes to that, you guys know my stance with that. Children need two parents for as much as you can provide that for them. You know, the studies are clear. Money cannot replace that one-on-one time. Regardless, people, especially the women, are going to jump to the opportunity to have his children. And trust and believes these chicks aren't going after Elon Musk just because they think he has an amazing personality and he's a smart guy, right? There's plenty of smart guys out there who aren't billionaires. And so there's sort of like this weird, relatable experience that someone like Elon has had with child support. Right? Not to mention, I think even without Elon Musk being appointed to the position where the DOGE team has been appointed to, you would still probably think if at any time it would have been possible for laws to be changed when it came to divorce laws, when it came to family court and child support, then it would have been in this current administration. That's just the truth. There's no other way of looking at this. And when I say things to change, and I mean things to change in the favor of men, right? Because men, a lot of times when it comes to family court, get the shorter end of the stick.
It is March 8th, 2025, and Elon Musk and DOGE have gained access to a sensitive child support database. Career officials tried to stop it, but were unsuccessful. But the Department of Health and Human Services did say they only had read access to the Administration for Children and Families run federal parent locator system.
They'll get more. I'm sure they'll get more access.
Which contains sensitive information such as income and federal benefits for nearly every U.S. worker. Musk himself is a father of at least 14 children with at least 4 women and has been embroiled in his own child support and custody cases. It was reported that he forced his child support and custody case to be heard in Texas, for instance, with Grimes, because Texas has a state mandated maximum child support amount. So it is reported that Texas has a maximum allowable amount of $1,840 for one child, $2,300 for 2 children, $2,760 for 3 children, and so on. So clearly he's not paying very much to Grimes for the, I think, 3 children that they have together.
Why does she need more money than that is my question. You know, it's never enough, and I don't think it can ever be enough. I mean, even in a family where 2 people are married and they're satisfied with that marriage, it's never really enough. I'm sure women who had children with Elon Musk thought that they may be able to really maximize from the earnings from that child support because, you know, let Elon bust my cheeks. And now here I am and he deserves to give me more money. Just doesn't make any sense. But it would never be enough. It's almost rarely never enough.
But who knows what DOGE wants with this system. I guess it does have a ton of information in it. But, you know, conflicts of interest all over the place for sure.
Okay, so obviously a bunch of people are upset about the fact that they actually granted DOGE access to this. But I'm curious, are there some viable reasons people may have at why this is not a good idea? Maybe. Let's read a few of these comments. I like the comments. Top comment here says, I'm a female and child support laws are ridiculous. And we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. A man forced to pay ridiculous amount of money and not guaranteed his money amount even provides that quality of lifestyle for his child. No guarantee that that child's name is even on a deed to a home he pays for. So that's one of the biggest complaints when it comes to child support, right? It's not trackable. And if is trackable, because some people say, oh, you know, there is such thing as child support that gets pushed to debit cards. People believe that whoever's receiving that child support should be limited when it comes to where they use that money. And so, no, you can't use that money to go do your nails, get your hair done, you know, pay for a date with you and the new guy who you're with. That's what a lot of people believe. Or you should be able to track and compare that. Hey, this money is being used correctly. I think, and when it comes to women, like, I like how she had to first state, like, I'm a woman and we get it. But I think for most women, they truly don't understand until they may be married to somebody who they've seen go through child support, or they're going through it themselves, because in many cases, women are receiving that child support. All right. So next comment here says, child support is super corrupt. They take kids by making up lies and misleading statements. Somebody else here added, LOL, all these comments are giving I'm a bitter baby daddy who pays child support, don't want to be accountable for paying financially for my kids, or I'm the new girlfriend, I'm making it my business. Guys, didn't I just say this? Didn't I just say this right there? That the only way, and she knows this, right? So if the new girlfriend can now get a different vantage point and understand what's really going on, don't you think that there's some credibility to what that man is saying? And then you have the chicks who are actually going through it, right? Who are actually being put on child support. Like this chick who says, child support is a scam. But of course, you have the chicks who are pissed off that they granted them access in the first place, right? Like this woman with the caption, DOGE has child support info. Why?
The Washington Post reports that the Department of Health and Human Services, Robert Kennedy Jr., has granted DOGE and Elon access to the child support database. There is literally no reason why DOGE would need that. It is not government overspending. It is not government waste.
How do you know
These
that?
are court-ordered child support agreements that come through via, your payroll taxes or whatever.
Right.
Absolutely no reason for it. People should really be caring about that. That is an absolute invasion. And it goes back to a couple weeks ago. They want to go after child support and even having to pay it. It is pretty clear that that's a goal of theirs, and also to go after no-fault divorce. And people really need to pay attention to the little things, and it's so hard, but there's no reason for them to have child support information.
They're going after corruption. They're going after corruption because child support, I personally believe, is extremely corrupt. Millions of men out there who also think the same way, not just because they have to pay, but it's obviously corrupt. And when you find out exactly how the child support system works, even if you have just like a basic understanding, because I'm not an expert, but I'll give you a rough, very basic explanation of Title 4D so you guys understand exactly why this is a big deal. And you will see that there's a huge probability, right? A lot of you guys know this, but there's still a lot of people who are still in the dark. You see the vulnerability that's there for there to be corruption when it comes to child support. Yes, family laws need to be changed. Let's read a few of these comments of these chicks crying over here, of course. This chick here says, child support needs to be reformed. It's outdated. Okay. Wow. Okay. I'm actually surprised that we have people here who feel strongly about this, but then I'm not. Another person who says, yes, there's massive fraud. This chick says, absolutely. There's my husband, paid ex-wife $600 a month to begin with, ended up over $900, plus paid until she was 22. No, we were not behind. Absolutely. They should audit them. And people are proving me wrong here. It looks like more people are open now more than ever for child support to be audited.
So DOGE is going after child support, aka Title 4D of the Social Security Act. And I posted a 3-part series of Mark Ludwig's live feed that he did Sunday night on Facebook. So if you want to know what Title 4D of the Social Security Act is, go to my page, find all parts. You'll see a guy that's not me. It's Mark Ludwig. He's the founder of Americans for Equal Shared Parenting. And if you want more details on it, go follow him on Facebook. See some of his content. Watch some of his live feeds when he goes live. But overall, in all 3 parts of this, he basically explains almost everything. So if you want to get educated, even moms, get educated on this because it's extremely important. This is the reason why I do a lot of these videos and I explain that, well, child support isn't supposed to be what it is today. And he explains why he's only going after the Title 4D portion of child support and not the other parts just yet. He's our lobbyist that we've had for years. He goes to Washington, D.C. A lot of people in D.C. know who he is, including a whole lot of senators and House reps all across the country. Anyways, the information's out there. Love you. Kisses.
I think a lot of these people are fathers. They're people who've experienced this firsthand. You can go check out, of course, his handle and the names that are mentioned. So what is Title 4D? And I just want to explain it roughly so that people understand exactly just how much these systems are vulnerable to corruption. Title 4D is a federal law that helps enforce child support payments. And under Title 4D, each state runs a child support enforcement program to make sure that parents are financially supporting their children. So this includes things like locating the non-custodial parent, right? The person who doesn't actually have the child, establishing court orders, making sure that they pay that money. So obviously for each state, that costs a lot of money. And so who's going to pay for that? Well, to help the states pay for the cost to enforce child support, the federal government reimburses states 66 cents or 66% per dollar that they spend in enforcement. And then the question is, well, why would the government reimburse states 66 cents per dollar spent on enforcement? Well, because the goal is to reduce the amount that families rely on government aid. That's the whole goal. And so once you understand that, you can see opportunities where a state can really abuse the system. Now, you may still be saying, I still don't see the vulnerability for corruption. Okay, Well, what if a state realizes that, hey, we're going to get reimbursed 66% of whatever we spend on enforcement to go after people for child support? So it's really not going to cost us that much. And now they're even more motivated to go after you or any other person, mostly men out there who are vulnerable to states because they're incentivized. You might say, well, they're still just getting reimbursed. Okay. Well, what if they're inflating those costs, right? What if they're not telling the truth when they're reporting back to the government? What if they're saying, hey, this month, $1 million on enforcement when it comes to child support, and you find out that there are no real systems set up to actually verify the correct amounts? Is that far-fetched? I mean, when you think of how the billions that's already been saved when it comes to DOGE has really just come down to lack of efficient ways to verify that money is being used for what it's been used for, then it's not that far-fetched to think that there might be that type of corruption going on when it comes to child support. Here's what's even worse. There are things called incentive bonuses, right, that states are given for going the extra mile, performing well when it comes to enforcing child support. Yes, you heard me right. The government gives bonuses and incentives if they do the job well, right? Based on who? It's up to the government, of course. And so when you understand all this stuff, even on a basic level, you can see room for a lot of corruption. And just trust the government and just trust that they're doing the right thing is not the correct approach, I believe, here in this situation. So I'm very curious to see what DOGE may find when it comes to child support. Moving on.
I keep my boys humble. Like, my boys have never had a pair of Jordans. You know, my boys don't do all that internet fly shit. I'm like your kids. And no, I don't give a f. I could be the biggest star in the world. Do not let me catch you being stupid.
This is an interesting interview. I don't see a lot of people talking about this, but the Pivot podcast recently had Anthony Mackie on. You know, he has his movie out, Captain America, and he crosses the line here. He says some things that I think are very, you know, we hear it a lot if you're in the spaces like the Coffee Pod, but he's talking about men. He's talking about the war against men, against masculinity. And it's surprising to hear an A-list actor actually speak out loud. It's almost like, bro, are you allowed to be doing this?
Mm-hmm. Do not. And my oldest gets it. My 15-year-old, he tells the other ones, he's like, yo, don't make dad mad. Because once you get one that's right, he gonna straighten the other ones out. Mm-hmm. So it's just that thing of, you know, in the past 20 years, we've been living through the death of the American male. They have literally killed masculinity in our homes and our communities.
That's a fact.
For one reason or another. But I raised my boys to be young men. And however you feel about that, you feel about that. Right. But my boys will always be respectful. They will always say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. No, sir, no, ma'am. They will always say thank you. They will always open the door for a lady. They will always make sure that their mother is taken care and provided for. They will always be men.
Amen. And guys, when I said that, are you supposed to be talking about this? Maybe I'm a bit jaded when it comes to actors. Like, I admire them with a grain of salt, like anybody else in this world. You know, don't never put anybody in a pedestal, but especially actors, celebrities, musicians. You assume that there's just certain things you can't say because you're going to affect your career. You're going to get blackballed because Hollywood is anti-men in general, if we're just going to keep it real. I was very shocked by this interview. Let's keep listening.
And that's always since they were 2 years old. Every time I left for a job, I tell my 15-year-old, you're the man of the house. You make sure these doors are locked every night, this alarm is on, you text me or you call me every night before you go to bed and you wake up.
I love that.
Because we're men. If I'm not there to protect, he got to be there to protect. Because you can have all the money in the world, motherfucker climb through the window, that money means nothing. Right. You can have all the celebrity in the world, motherfucker jump through the door, that celebrity means nothing. Yeah. So you got to have a little guard in there, you know? And so for me, it's always that idea of American masculinity is very different. You feel it when you go to Europe. Like, you see these and you're like, could bust your ass, boy. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You go to Europe.
Tight ass pants.
Yeah, tight ass pants. Motherfucker, good, boy, you better look.
Men in Europe are catching strays right now.
Pushing your ankle. Like, you feel it when you go to Europe. Even when you, like, I was just in Kenya and I was walking around. I'm like,
men in Kenya are catching strays right now too. He's going for the continent.
yeah. Dude was like, you ain't from here. Like, nah. Yeah, I could tell. I know you can. I could tell I ain't from here. You know what I mean?
That's
it's
hilarious.
just that American male masculinity is something I think is very important for boys. Because now our little boys are afraid to fail, so they don't try.
Right.
You know what I mean? When we were kids, we did tackle drills. We would run face first into each other.
We just talked about it. They shot. Dudes don't even talk to a woman face to face.
They don't know how no more. Because, women they are so mean and so angry. Bruh, I saw this, my nephew was talking to this girl. Oh my God, dude, she just killed him. I mean, he was like, excuse me, how you doing?
Right.
She goes, how do you come back from that? He just walked over to me. I gave him his beer. I was like, there you go, bro. That didn't happen. Let's start over.
Yeah. That was surprising to hear, good to hear. I mean, I don't agree with everything that I hear from every celebrity, guys. There's nobody who I agree with 100%, but this right here is not the first time I've actually reacted and touched and agreed with Anthony Mackie. Anthony Mackie had an appearance on Wendy Williams. It kind of let me know exactly where he was at. So here we are. This was it. This was when I realized, like, hey, Anthony Mackie drinks some coffee.
And I hear you and I have something in common. You believe in a lot of cases that men and women have roles.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, you say it because people get
you
mad
better
when
believe
I say
it. I'm from this. Yeah, you better believe it.
I mean, I know you're from New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, I'm only from
That makes
Jersey.
sense.
Yeah,
but I
but-
do believe that if he wants a sandwich,
You make daddy a sandwich.
most of the time.
No, let me ask you this. Well, okay, let me ask you this. If me and you out, and somebody say something slick to you,
You punch him in the
you
face.
want me to smack him in his mouth, right?
that's right.
So if I take you on a date and I say, look, baby, we gonna go Dutch.
No.
Exactly. If we walking up to the car and I don't open your car door, what do you say?
Open the door.
You better believe it.
I am with you. I think
So you
that-
make daddy a sandwich.
I think I get out of the shower.
All right, so that was that. This next video was the topic that the host that was trying to bring up, where he was saying we were just talking about that, men not shooting their shot today, young guys not having the confidence, they don't know how to shoot their shot. What I assume sparked this conversation that we're about to get into was this study that said almost 50%, I think it was 45 to 50% of men ages 18 to 25 have never asked a woman out in person, which is pretty insane when you think about it, but not really that surprising when you understand what these young men have been dealing with, what they have to deal with, and understand their current situation. Let's check out the conversation.
Wish that whatever percentage of men have never hollered at a girl could understand the exhilaration of it working. Like just the whole process of it when we were younger. When you didn't have cell phones. I'm talking about back in the time where you had to be like, hey, Miss Williams, may I speak to Charlene, please? And she was like, hey, how you doing? I'm doing fine, ma'am. How are you? Hold on. Charlene! You know what I'm saying? Like that time was different. Me sitting around with y'all being like, yeah, y'all, I'm gonna holler at the one in the green. Like, Chan, which one you like? Like, Fred, which, you know what I'm saying? So first we had to divvy out which ones we like, because maybe we like the same one. Or if the entire group of them was good looking, now you just gotta send the one who could break the ice. So it might be
Right.
you, but like, Chan, you just go say what's up, then we all gonna come over there. But we ain't gonna really choose none. Whichever one choose us, that's how we rocking, right? Like
That's a life skill.
And so then, when you walk over and you come back and you like, I got the digits. Like she either wrote it on your hand or she wrote it on a piece of paper. That was it. Like, and you know how many times I sat in the mirror and said, hey, I'm RC. Hey, nice to meet you before I went to the dance. I practiced that jump because I wanted to know how she was going to see my face when I told her this, right? And of course, women want that, right? Because for them, it feels good to be wanted in person.
I'm looking at the hashtags right here, man. Check this out. It says over 40, over 50, over 60. I'm 31. I remember doing this. And maybe it was because of the group that I was hanging out with, but nah, man, if you were in your 30s right now, if you're currently in your 30s then you probably remember this experience too. I remember going to the mall. I remember walking around, right? Looping around, acting like you're going to buy something, really looking for chicks and being nervous as hell to go up and talk to them. And you are excited because you don't know how the day's going to go. You rode your bikes there, go get some Chinese food, right? Back when that was hella affordable, you're at the arcade, you hang out, you see a girl, and then comes the peer pressure from your boys who are now pushing you. You know, you don't want to come off like you're scared. And that was healthy peer pressure to really step outside of your box. And if that person looked stupid and they got turned down, it was still like, man, that's what's up. At least you went there and shot your shot. It was worse to get clowned on by your boys than to actually go there and get turned down. Because at the end, if you had a good group of friends, they would give you that acknowledgement like, hey, man, at least you shot your shot. That's what's up.
The dudes who are under 25 who don't want to do it, they're stupid because it'll actually put you ahead of the game because everybody got a dating app now. Now, here's the other piece of it of why dudes don't like to do it and women want it. Men don't handle rejection well. We had to handle it because that was the only life we knew, right? Like I had an ugly homeboy, he'd shoot at 10s all the time because he said the worst they could say is no, which is true. He taught me. Like women understand that like it's going to be obstacles to finding love.
You see what's happening here, man? They're pandering, bro. They're pandering. Women get it. Men don't. Men are scared. Back in our day, all respect, I do not like, and you know what, maybe I need to be more understanding that they're just not tapped into what young guys today are going through. This is not an excuse. I think more young dudes should be out here shooting their shot. I think they should. There are people who tell you not to do it. I think that's a skill that once you have it, it just never goes away, right? It just takes a couple more and then you just get better with it over time. But hearing how they're setting up and framing the situation like women understand their opticals and these men today, they're cowards. No, that's not it.
And adversity to find love. And they really want love. Men are so damn stupid. We're just like, if I got to get rejected to get to it, I don't want it.
Dog, come
and so
on,
instead
man.
of them being like, hey, she could tell me no, they're scared to even approach it because if you tell me no on this app or you tell me no on this phone or in Instagram, it's not really like you told me no. You're just telling a profile picture of me no. I can deal with that. And I think like that's why the world is effed up, man, because man, if they could know what it felt like for that girl to, and then too, the numbers even be fading and you look at that thing and you'll dial that number 15 times and just change that one number that faded just so Charlene mama answered the phone. Man, I wish I was 15 again, boy.
I get it. I really do. And with that being said, though, I'm always disappointed when I hear like, would he be considered an old head at this point, or does he fit in that like unk category? I don't know. I'll let you guys decide down below. But hear me out real quick. I don't remember, but maybe you do, and you can correct me down below if I'm wrong. I don't remember as a young man ever being worried that I would end, and this is going to sound crazy. This will sound crazy. Ever being worried that me or any of my boys would catch a Me Too case ever. I don't remember thinking about that. Now, as I got older, in my 20s, that was a thing. But when guys start shooting their shot, you know, that's like middle school, you know, that's like you're in your teens, right? 17, 18, 19. I don't remember walking around thinking this could be the difference between me coming across as harassment or her genuinely finding me attractive. Not to the extent that men experience this today. I also, looking back before social media was just at the point it's at now, don't remember women being so picky about where you took them to go hang out. I can only imagine what young guys today are dealing with. I mean, we see it, of course we see it, but I can only imagine how it feels to be that young and to understand that like, okay, I'm not that rich right now. And maybe I just need to focus on money and get rich. Right. And since all these chicks just talk about money, because that's what they hear all the time from the media and the songs and everything, and they take it seriously. But I don't remember that being such a big deal when I was coming up. The honest truth is the young guys today do have it tougher. Back then, the girl you wanted was choosing between you or the other dude in her high school. Maybe she was in some chat group, right? But when it came to social media, it was non-existent. There are chicks right now that I've reacted to on multiple occasions. You guys have seen them getting flown out just to get their cheeks clapped. Young women just to get their cheeks clapped. Times have changed. And then you have the issue of masculinity that we're talking about, where that thing inside of you, right, to go out and approach a woman confidently, strong, be attractive while you do it is not encouraged. Men are very much aware to the subtle messaging and influencing that they see around them. So while I do encourage more men to go out, more young guys especially, to go out and exercise those skills of walking up, approaching a woman, I understand that things have changed drastically. When I hear platforms like the Pivot Podcast, wonderful platform at the end of the day. When I hear a lot of the older guys address these topics, I could tell that, like, oh man, they're either out of touch or they're pandering to the women and don't want to piss the women off. And so they have to give those disclaimers. What do you guys think it is between those two? Moving on.
Fatherhood's a major problem. Who do they find as role models?
It hurts kids.
Where are the fathers?
I'm like, mama, send that boy to go stay with his daddy.
Possessions or whatever.
Yeah. Vindictive and bitter with the dad, that they'd rather their son fail than have the father in a child's life.
This is King Randall, and he is on the Sean Ryan podcast. Let's check it out.
Where do you think some of the problem stems? I mean, we talked about fatherhood at the very beginning. Do you think fatherhood is a major problem in that area?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. The lack of true male presence is probably one of the bigger issues. In order to be a man, you have to see a man. That's it. And people will try to say, oh, well, my mom, raised me by herself and I was a good man. I said, if your mom raised you by yourself and you became a good man, it's because you was on a football team, you had a gym coach somewhere, you had male presence in your life. Your mom wasn't the sole person raising you completely. You never ran into any other men that had any impact on you. No, absolutely not. And moms will be honest about that. But I'm like, do not sit here and tell me that your mom never put you on a football team, never let you play basketball. You never had a male teacher anywhere. You never had no male presence at all, and you became a great person. I believe you have to have that balance. Any single moms that have raised good men is because they put them around good men too. Yeah, they might have done it by themselves, but they also put them on football teams. A lot of single moms will make sure their kids are in sports. They will make sure their kids have some type of male around them, good moms anyway, to make sure that they become something successful. Because most moms who refuse to put men around their sons usually end up some gangbanger, etc. Like I guarantee it, and I've seen it, and I can say this because I've worked with children for so long. I can guarantee that's what's happening, like every time. And again, some parents, they don't want to parent. They don't want to be a parent. They're just having sex and having kids and don't want to parent. Some people try to use us as a second parent, and so they don't have to do nothing.
So I just want to get this out of the way. This is a very impressive man right here. I didn't know that he was only 24 years old, right? And is also the founder of the X for Boys program that addresses crime and poverty that affects young men in his community. Young guy here doing great things.
Granted, I try to, do what I can with their sons, but it's hard because I need your assistance, Mom. Like, I really need your help, with him. You can't just throw him off to me because the program's free. You can't just throw him off to me. But, coming now in March, we will have rules for parents. And as much as I don't want to, we will kick some children out of the program because of their parents. And because I want the parents to be accountable also. And I have to be a little cutthroat like that. As much as I may love that child, as much as I may have built a relationship.
This boy looks sharp. Come on, man.
If that mom does not assist us with her child in a meaningful way, we will let them go from the program.
Wow. Well, I mean, so with the lack of fathers, where are the fathers? Where are they at? What are they doing?
Let's get into the realness. We got a lot of moms also that have fathers that do want to be dads.
Come on.
But they are so vindictive and bitter with the dad that they'd rather their son fail than have the father in a child's life.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
This is the part where I'll play my sound effect, guys. It's not working today. Let's keep listening.
I am dead. I've had conversations with moms where they tell me, I'm like, where the daddy at? I'll make contact with the dad. Dad say, you know, I live in North Carolina or I live in this city, but she never wanted me. They'd have moved on, got kids of their own with their new wife or whatever like that. She never want me to see him. I'm like, mama, send that boy to go stay with his daddy. He don't need the Ace of Boys program. He needs his dad. Send him with his father. What are you doing besides sitting up here complaining about you doing it by yourself? It's like moms had this new thing now where they proud. It's like they have to say, I'm doing it all by myself and I'm trying and I love my child and putting them on Facebook and pretending you was a parent at graduation and they turned out to be some terrible person because you was too proud to keep their father in their life. I've run into that so many times with moms who didn't just send the child to stay with his father. You don't need him. You don't need to be trying to raise him by yourself. Send him with his dad because he needs his actual father. He don't need somebody you trying to get to play father.
Right.
He needs his real father. But because they are so bitter and the court system, which I hate, benefits mothers more than fathers who want to be dads. It hurts kids. It hurts children. They send, these kids to stay with moms or like I'll never forget. It's a few cases where moms will be on drugs and they'll give it to the mom before they give it to the father. Like I watched these court cases and I have said before that custody court needs to be a jury. I have said that over and over again. It does not need to be a judge because it's based off of how this judge feels today.
It's interesting. What do you guys think of that? Jury instead of a judge. That would change a lot of things. Never heard of that concept before. Because as you can assume, right, if you have a judge looking at a situation, a lot of attorneys, I've interviewed a couple of attorneys, they've been very straight up with me and said, hey, it matters the relationship you have as an attorney with that judge if he's the one who is the deciding factor over your case. But if you have a jury there, that could change a lot of what's going on, especially if you have a jury of men included.
What if they don't like you today or what if they mad or whatever? It needs to be a jury. I believe a jury of our peers needs to decide where custody goes. We need to be able to prove why I'm a fit parent, for my child. I have said if we having a custody battle, let's talk to a jury about it. It does not need to be one judge or I'm trying to prove to this judge while I'm a good dad, etc. I don't understand why that isn't a jury trial. And that's something I want to fight for because I ran into that issue, in divorce at one point or whatever like that. Like the lawyer was telling her to keep the kids away from me. And so because she didn't have any knowledge, she, thought she was doing the right thing because that's what the lawyer told her to do. And she told the lawyer, she was telling me after it was over, she was like, well, I told him he was a good dad and everything. I didn't understand what he was telling me to keep the kids for, but I was doing it because that's what he told me to do.
Absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
I said, don't you ever in your life let somebody tell you to keep your kids away from the dad. Like she said, that's what the lawyer was telling her. And I was like, well, why wouldn't he be looking out for the best interest of the kids? Because I had already offered, multiple different things, when I got a divorce, for her to be okay. I left the house, left her the car, etc. I just wanted out, at that time. But I just wanted to make sure I had, proper custody with the children because I wanted to make sure I'm raising my sons. And he was telling her to try to get full custody, etc., etc. And so, of course, we ended up working it out privately or whatever like that. And we eventually, worked out our own custody agreement or whatever like that. But I'm just like, man, imagine if I wasn't able to afford a lawyer. Or imagine if I wasn't able to afford, these different incentives for her, etc. like that.
Right.
The regular guy get railroaded and can't see his kids for no reason. No matter what happens in a marriage, etc., etc. If both parents are fit, both parents should be able to see their kids at an equal amount of time. It shouldn't be, oh, well, you can't see them because this is what the judge decided. Like, that's insane.
Guys, I'm absolutely captivated by this whole story. I'm hearing this for the first time myself. I haven't actually watched this the whole way through. I might have to check out this whole full podcast. There's one video that led me to this story. And the first time, and I should have looked more into it. The reason why I decided to be like, okay, I need to cover this, because I saw this video here a while back of him showing kids how to do some mechanical work on cars. You could check it out here. And people didn't like this video. We'll get into that.
Right here, you see it? See how thick that is right there? If it needed to be changed, it would be way lower. Like it would be way close down. So you got a lot of thickness right there. That's how much thickness you got right there. You understand? Yeah. You got plenty of time, but that's how you replace them. You replace it the same way you take it out. You understand? Yeah.
And so when I first saw this, I didn't know who this was. I just saw, okay, here's obviously very, he's taking time out of his day to show young boys how to do something constructive that they will eventually very much appreciate. They know and the people around them will thank them for. I checked the comments, and there are people saying, I kid you not, there are people saying, why is he making them say, yes, sir? It sounds like slavery to me, or it sounds like manipulation. And I thought to myself, I said, wow, mostly women. I said, this is insane. We're literally living in an insane era. And I think that's part of the problem. You have to make sure you're intentional and build thick skin around your children, especially your sons, because it's like they've conditioned everyone around to not recognize what respect for an adult looks like. And they've labeled that as toxicity, what masculinity looks like. And they've labeled that as toxicity as well. And everything is just flipped upside down. It's disgusting. This is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing as far as I'm concerned. Top comment says, custody court needs to be a jury. Preach, my man. Somebody else here added, we must never stop talking about the role father figures play in our lives. Here's somebody else who says, I went from a D to F student living with my mother to moving in with my dad at age 15 and being on honor roll the very next year. I'll tell you guys my own story. You know, my mom for 7 years, because when we migrated here from Zambia, for about 7 years, we weren't with my father, right? I wasn't living with him. And that's because we came right before 9/11 happened. And then they got really strict with who they were letting in. During that time, I also was not really performing well in school. My dad came. I told you guys, next day I'm getting whooped, right? Imagine not seeing somebody for 7 years and they're whooped. I was a very defiant child. Not horrible, but I just didn't care, right? I didn't see the importance in listening to adults. Not disrespectful, but just kind of stayed to myself, did my own thing. Then my dad started giving me and my sister math lessons. And I wasn't performing well in math at all, right? My sister, she was doing very well, but I wasn't. And he would wake us up every morning. My dad was a math teacher, right? But by profession, he was an accountant, but also was a math teacher at some point in his life. I started to improve, right? Because he took time out of his day to teach and the whole other things, man. And I needed everything that I experienced going forward from the presence of my father. So from a personal experience, I think this is a very beautiful thing.